Cool. All right, we are live. Hey, ladies, Rose Stein here. Welcome to my group, ladies. Let's button those jeans again. So glad that you're here. As always, if you have any questions, you're struggling with anything, you have any concerns, you really need somebody to talk to that has been doing this for a really long time, not only professionally, but also personally, really navigating through. Sometimes it can feel like a landmine of how to really navigate this life and this world and not be losing our mind, but also not be gaining weight. And as the holiday season is like, we're in full swing here, ladies. This is Thanksgiving week. And so there's a lot going on. There's a lot to navigate, really like feeling this word right now. But when it comes to our emotions, like not only ourself, what's going on for us, but what's going on for other people, and what's going on with family. Now, whether that's a joyous time or a stressful time, it kind of depends on what the past has brought you and the memories of the past. But hopefully this year it is a joyous time where you can get to see people that you haven't seen in a while and remember loved ones that are maybe not with us any longer. It's always good to have that space and that time to be human, like to have emotions. But today I want to talk to you a little bit about how to manage this, because I was actually out of town last week, and that is also a slippery place for those of us who are really trying to figure out what it is that our body actually needs, what we want, how we want to do it, like how we want our eating plan to actually unfold. And most of us are really not interested in doing diets, but we want to lose weight. So like, what is that? How do we figure out a way to eat right for our body that is also like enjoyable, right? Where the food is enjoyable. When we're eating it, we're really excited to eat it. And when it's not mealtime, we're like going on with our life. It is an interesting balance that we learn to figure out along the way. So there was a couple of things that happened when I was away last week, some things that went really well that I want to share with you, and some things that didn't go so well that I think are also good learning lessons for myself and for all of us. So I was gone for 4 days and we were staying in a hotel. The time zone was like 2 hours ahead of where I'm at right now. So there was a little time zone kind of, funkiness, which is okay. It's okay to navigate that. There's a lot of things that we can talk about, like, what did you actually do? What did you actually eat? What did you bring? But a lot of it really stems from a perspective shift. One of my clients likes to use the word a paradigm shift. I really like that. I like the idea of realizing that it is a complete change in my previous perception and perspective. And that was what I was looking for and what I needed. And what I realized is not beginning, I mean, it is more and more unraveling itself. Like some people get these like, burning bush kind of aha moments where like everything in them is just transformed. It's like a spiritual awakening that is like incredible. And they're just a completely different person the next day. That hasn't been my experience. My experience is more what I've understood to be called as the educational variety, where it's like little bit by little bit by little bit by little bit. And you don't even really notice that a change is happening until you really look back, until someone from the outside often says something, or there's a moment where you realize like, oh my gosh, I spent 30 years like thinking this one way, thinking that this thing was impossible. And now it's just, not only is it possible, but it's just normal. Like it feels normal to me. So one of those things that was a huge paradigm shift to me is that like, if I'm like out of my area code, or if I'm traveling, or if I'm on vacation, or if it's a holiday, or if it's my birthday, or whatever reason, whatever excuse, that like somehow it didn't matter. Somehow my self-care was more in the direction of eating and drinking whatever I quote wanted. But what's interesting about that is that I always felt like crap after. So how is that really self-care? Right. And I didn't get that. It was just because it was always so stressful to me to have to think about my food, to have to think about eating well, to have to think about all of that stuff when there's other stuff around. Like it was it felt like that was so stressful and so overwhelming that the self-care part came from not having to think about that, which is really interesting because it's totally changed now. And so if that's where you're at, but that's like a struggle piece for you, I'm here to let you know that that paradigm shift, that shifting in perspective is totally possible. And I experienced it last week. In fact, I really came to the self-love and self-care realization that I don't feel well mentally, emotionally, or physically when I don't eat right for my body. I mean, I could blame whoever I wanted to blame or justify however I want to justify, like me in this body. I'm the only one that wakes up every morning and there I am. Every night that I go to bed, there I am. There's nobody else that has to live in this body. There's nobody else that has to live in this mind. So I can't be concerned about what other people are thinking or feeling or perceiving or judging or saying or whatever it is about what it is that I'm doing. And Lord knows everyone's got an opinion. So if you're going to ask, they'll let you know what it is that you should be concerned about, what your values should be for yourself, but only you can figure that out. So I really had to come to terms with the fact that I just have a sensitive body. For whatever reason, who cares? Like my body is sensitive and I feel a lot better when I actually take the time to prepare and plan and bring some things with me that I know I'm going to want. I mean, it's the same thing. Like I get cold, but I knew I was going to be in a conference room all week long. So I brought warm socks and I brought undershirts and I brought a sweater and I brought a couple of scarves. Right. Like I know that I like to be comfortable and I like to feel good in my body. And I'm the only one responsible for that. So what I did in terms of bringing food on the airplane is I brought stuff that I learned this the hard way. You don't want to bring like an actual cooked meal because you open that up. And if you have like broccoli or salmon or tuna or Brussels sprouts or even cauliflower, it's rude. You know what I mean? It stings. Balsamic vinegar on salad. Like, come on. We don't have to do that. I know I can be a little bit more reserved. So I had carrots and tomatoes. I brought some Triscuits for my grain. I had an apple. What else did I have? I had string cheese. Like it was super easy, right? Just super easy. Put it in the backpack, carry on with me. And then I had food to eat with me while I was on the plane. And then I felt great when I was there. The other thing that I did, I knew that I was going to be there for several days and who knows what's going to happen in the morning when you start the day off with crap, you just feel like crap all day long. So I made these muffins that were just, I guess 4 ingredients if you add cinnamon as an ingredient. So cinnamon, bananas, oats, and nuts. And I just mixed those together in my proper portions. And I made these muffins and obviously I let them cool and then I froze them overnight. So then I brought, obviously I had my breakfast that morning that I left. And then I had 1, 2, 3 more days. And so I brought those in the suitcase with me. And they don't need to be refrigerated. I mean, you can always ask the people that you are in a hotel with if they'll give you a refrigerator. And even if they say, no, we don't do that, be like, I'm diabetic. I have to put my stuff in. Not that you want to go lying all over the place, but if you do say that, then they kind of have to by law, like help you out there. So they'll bring you a little refrigerator, but it's actually not even necessary. I didn't even need it. I just needed, I didn't need anything. It was like they defrosted to room temperature. They stay for a couple days. It was totally fun. And then I got to have my breakfast. The coffee machine was actually broken in the room, which is kind of funny. So I just had water. I just was laughing at that. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I guess I don't need it. So I had my breakfast there for me. And then for lunch, the company that I work for provided lunch. And so they asked if anyone has any dietary restrictions. Now, I totally get that a lot of people don't want to say something because they don't want to be that person. I get it. But I also don't want to be that person that's feeling like crap and having cravings and feeling tired and hungover because I ate something that doesn't work for this sensitive body. So I just told them, I was like, hey, yeah. And I said, I was like, it's not that big of a deal because it's not, right? I'm a grown woman. I can go and call my own Uber people, whatever, to like bring me something. Like, I don't have to have somebody take care of me. That's another kind of like shift, right? Where it's like, we're not stuck like taking something that someone, just because they're giving it, right? I get that that's polite, but you can be polite and not actually put it in your body if it doesn't work for you. So I said, I was like, I prefer not to have sugar or flour. So like, I don't need any desserts or, sandwiches or anything like that. She's like, oh, good. I'm glad you said, because I am getting people sandwiches. I'm like, cool. So she got me like a bowl, you know what I mean? Like a quinoa bowl on one day. What was it? And the next day, of course, I had like some like dry chicken, but it was fine. It was fine. We were fine. We can totally deal with that. And then it did actually come with a little dessert thing, but I gave it to one of the people that came up to the booth. So that was cool. I was really glad. And he was happy to have it, and I was happy to give it. The other thing is that I brought some vitamin C with me and some like zinc spray. That's always a really good idea, especially now that we're all like super aware of like how quickly colds and things like that can transfer. And, they're kind of getting a little bit more intense. As we know, the whole world shut down. Shh, don't tell anyone. So I brought some vitamin C and some zinc, and I took that every day and also shared it with other people. And it was really funny because you know what I'm talking about. Like, people will poo-poo your ideas, especially if it's got to be like healthy or organic, or, oh, you don't have sugar. Oh, you're gluten-free, or like whatever. Like, people will talk smack. But you know as well as I do, you hold your ground, you just smile and nod, whatever. And I'm telling you, they all poo-pooed my vitamin C and my zinc. And over the course of the days, every single one of them were like, can I have a little, can I have a little of that? Can I have a little? Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And you know what? None of us got sick. We all feel great, several days after the conference. So you just keep showing up. It's like, the bottom line is that we're just human. So like, we all want to do what everyone else is doing. What's the fun thing and the tasty thing and the easy thing and the thing that feels good right away. And we also all want to feel good. We are also all drawn to fresh, alive, and vibrant foods, to water, and to proper rest, and to proper energy, and to feeling really good. Even though it might not be like the sexy thing at first, like, people are drawn to that. So it's a little bit of a shift, not getting caught up in what other people are doing just because you don't want to say something, but it ends up being an avenue for other people to be able to come and talk to you and either ask you for help or like ask what it is that you are doing. It's pretty incredible. Like, people, they do more and more and more every day. They're like, oh man, Rose, like, you gotta help us get healthy. Like, several people on my team have only been there for 3 weeks. Several people on my team were like, can you help me? I'm like, yes, yes. It's not that hard, and it's not that big of a transformation. It's just like little shifts, little tweaks, little twists in what it is that we're doing. We start to feel better, and then it builds momentum. And then we're like able and capable of doing it more and more. And again, it doesn't have to be some big drama ordeal. It's just like choosing water more of the time, right? Bringing food with us that actually serves our body, that's like easy to travel with. Now, whether you eat it or not, it doesn't matter as long as you bring it with you. Like, I wasn't sure if the hotel, because it didn't say on their website, which is totally weird, but I wasn't sure if they were going to have a gym. But I was like, if they do, I think I'm going to want to use it. So I brought my gym shoes and, whatever, sports bra and a little outfit to go to the gym. They did actually have one. I did not end up utilizing it. I actually did not have time, but I'm glad that I brought it. Right. Like, and that's how I feel about the food. I brought my journal as well, so I could like stay consistent with my morning routine and my evening routine and not get everything totally out of whack. I was really glad that I brought that. I brought my like coloring book stuff. So like, in case sometimes like you get distracted. If I was going to be like just sitting in the evening, and this never happened, but if I was going to be sitting in the evening just watching TV in my hotel room, like, it would be easy to like want to get a snack or something. So I got something just to like keep my attention and to keep my hands busy. And I got some pens and a coloring book, and that's very helpful as well. And so again, it's just about these little things. So I asked for what it is that I needed, and we've all made sure that we had plenty of water to be drinking. And I kept bringing it out of the closet and like handing it to people and being like, drink water, drink water. And they were like, oh yeah. Cause of course everyone's like downing the coffee all day long. Got the vitamin C, got the zinc. The other thing that I did is I took a bath each night. I know some people think that's gross in a hotel room, but trust me, that hotel room bathtub is cleaner than the one at my house. because at least there, someone's cleaning it every day. You know what I'm saying? So I took a bath each night, which was like so relaxing. I just listened to some like meditative music and relaxed in the evening, got myself, kind of wound down from the energy and the excitement of the day. And it was really, really quite pleasant. Okay, so those are all the things that worked really well. And quite frankly, those concepts and ideas work really well during the holidays as well. Bring something with you that you want to eat. If you want to bring enough for everyone to share it, awesome. If you also feel like you have to do that thing because that thing is something that everyone loves and they have to have it on this holiday, cool, bring that thing as well if you have to, but just know that you don't actually have to. If you don't want to, you don't actually have to. It's okay for people to be disappointed. It's okay for them to have other desserts. It's okay for them to take care of themselves. I know it's not a popular idea and thought, but you got to think about it a little bit broader sometimes, that like we're not the only ones that struggle and suffer. And you can't tell by looking at somebody's body what their struggles with food are. And so you just never know whose heart you are touching by saying no, right? Because then it gives them permission to say, oh, thank you as well. If you look it up, it says that there's about 75% of us that have like a sugar addiction. So on some level, their life is being affected by how much sugar they're eating, whether it's mental. There's a lot of mental stuff that goes on with sugar addiction. It's physical, it's emotional. There's a lot of depression and anxiety around that. If the body's reacting in that way where it's creating an addictive process, there's something out of whack, right? It's not awesome. It's not just, oh, I have a craving. Like, why? There's underneath of what's going on there. So that means 3 out of 4 of us, which means that whatever party you're going to, there are people there that are struggling. So if you should feel it upon yourself to be helpful and inspiring to maybe someone who might be struggling, then that's awesome. If not, that's okay too. Right. But I would strongly suggest bringing something that works for your body. You know what? You got a human body, so do all the rest of us. So if you can make it tasty without adding all of the sugar and the flour and all of that crap, just using fresh, alive, and vibrant foods, using seasonings and spices and herbs and cooking techniques that really bring out the flavor and the beauty of food, real food. It's incredible what you can actually make. And if you have to add pastry stuff and sugar to your meal to make it edible, then maybe that's not the right recipe. Or maybe you want to try something different. There's a lot of options, incredible options. Pinterest is like magical for that. There's also a girl, there's Damy Health, DAMY health.com, I believe. She's got some really incredible recipes on there, and she does all kinds of things. Like you can do, sugar-free, flour-free, egg-free, gluten-free, whatever, all the frees. Right? She just loves to cook all different kinds of things. And she's really into health and wellness. I mean, not every single recipe is something that I would eat, but there's a lot of really cool stuff on there. And there's so many resources now, so many incredible people doing really cool things with food. So, sitting there going, oh, well, it's not going to be tasty or they're not going to like it. Try it. It's incredible what begins to happen when people start to eat better and they start to feel better and their taste buds start to change. Like, it's incredible, right? It happened to me, it happened to all my family members, everyone that I know. Okay. So one of the things that didn't go so well was on one of the days, the first day, or I guess it was the second day, one of the days. I knew that we were going out to dinner and we had planned it. Now, I had planned on going somewhere else, but then the whole team was like, no, we're going to go over here. Well, God bless them. They're not foodies like I am, where like I want to schedule, right? Like my regular routine is very scheduled when it comes to food. And that totally works for me. But like when you're with other people, like the hours are going by and they're just talking and maybe where do you want to go? And so wants to go to their room and talk to their family first. And so's got to go to the bathroom. And I'm like, I was like losing my mind. I'm like, can we hurry up and go to somewhere to eat? Oh my God, it was so funny. Looking back on myself, I'm like, wow, Rose, you could chill out. So that's kind of that is one of the only issues that really gets in the way with like having so much consistency in my food plan and my eating. It works really well. It works really well because then my digestion is on point, and there's just so many things that are, problems that get solved in my life around, food and weight and cravings and all of that kind of stuff when I just have like consistent meal times. But it's not super conducive when you're with 20 people who all, now we're in a different time zone. Now we're like totally all over the place. Everyone's got different vibes of like what is acceptable. So what was cool about that, and this is a little bit of like the paradigm shifting, is that I know that I'm not going to starve before dinner. It might feel like it, right? But that is not actually going to happen. Now, unless you have some kind of like, hypoglycemic kind of thing going on where like your blood sugar drops and it's dangerous to your health and you need to eat something, then eat something, like have a snack before dinner. I mean, this is about self-love and self-care, right? So it doesn't matter what I say or what any nutrition person or diet person or whatever says to you, like always take care of your body. And there is a mental game I've noticed that sometimes my brain will want to play when my body is ready to eat and it gets hungry, and it goes into this like fight or flight, you're going to die mode. And it's kind of cool, actually, in hindsight, to think back and, in that moment, really calm myself down, and knowing that like, it's totally going to be okay. I'm not going to die before the next meal comes, even if I didn't even get that meal. Like the body is legitimately designed to survive, right? I've got storage space in there, plenty of storage, and it's totally going to be fine. So what happened though, is that I was fine. I did survive. And it was a couple hours after I usually eat. That's fine. We get there and there's like this huge line, which is so funny, but we can like smell like a barbecue place. And so I ended up getting some corn. I got a baked potato with some like brisket in it. And I got some fruit, like some fresh fruit. And I was like, okay, this is totally awesome. But then it was kind of late and I was a little bit over hungry and I was tired because it was like our first full day. It was intense. It was like a full, it was more than 12 hours. It was like 12 hours of like standing there and talking to people and like intensity and all that kind of stuff. So I was like exhausted. I'm tired. I'm hungry. It's past my meal time. And instead of just sticking with that, I got like a couple other things too. This like, whatever, bacon wrapped thing. And then there was like free beans. I'm like, oh, free beans. I got to have free because it's free. Right. And so it didn't feel totally that great. Like it felt like I ate it all and it was too much. It didn't feel that great. So that is definitely one thing to consider when we are navigating our timing and with other people, holidays, traveling and trips, like food, meal timing can make a difference. And what's really interesting too, is I noticed they actually did studies around this with smoking, that regardless of like when people are on airplane trips, right? And they're smokers, but like there was a time where you could smoke on an airplane and there was a time that you couldn't. And regardless of how long the flight was, the cravings would come on super strong about 30 to 45 minutes before landing, whether it was a 2-hour flight or a 14-hour flight. So the people were fine as long as like mentally, like it wasn't an option, which is really interesting because I found that myself as well, because the following night we had dinner at the dinner reservations at the same time or even later than we had eaten the night that I was freaking out. And because I knew that ahead of time and I wasn't like standing there hungry, waiting, like I knew what the timeline was. It was a completely different experience. And that is, it's important to understand and to acknowledge that aspect of the brain that really likes to have a plan. It likes to know what to expect. It can, like our bodies and our brains can do a lot of incredible things, but it doesn't really like to be surprised, right? It doesn't like to not have any idea of what's going to happen. And so what I suggest is, to the best of your ability, bring things that you know work for you and your body. Consider your plans for the next 24 hours and kind of map it out a little bit. Like, take some time to mentally put into your future and get out ahead of it a little bit. Place your not just your meals in proper sequence, and not just your planning of your self-care, but also the sequence of the day. It can be really hard for those of us who are trying to figure this out on our own and just go with the flow. It's not a super, super good plan. I mean, it can maybe be the plan maybe later on, but if we're actually making changes and we're trying to make some shifts and we're trying to get some sense of control and release the cravings and the food thoughts and the kind of crazy behavior around food, especially the holidays where we're putting it off and then we're bring it on, put it off, and just living in the moment, and then self-caring, but then not feeling good about the self-care and just all over the place. Really just taking some time to just take it one day at a time. This is what I do every evening. And it's really, really powerful. That's why I said that I brought my journal with me, and I'm really glad that I did, because then I was able to, in the evening time, be thinking about the next 24 hours. Now, that first night, because I didn't know, right? Like, we were supposed to do dinner on our own, and I was like, cool, I'm going to go get some Mexican food. And everyone was like, wait, let's hang out and go to barbecue. And then we had to talk about that for 45 minutes. Like, where are we? And it was crazy. I was like, this is not my plan. So sometimes your plan goes awry and you are kind of forced into being flexible. But to the best of your ability, setting yourself up to where you are planning and preparing for success, and you're mentally placing the resources that you need mentally and emotionally into your future in a positive way, it is very, very, very helpful. So that is what I hope for you to do this week as you're thinking about the holidays and where you're going to be going and what you're going to be doing and how you're going to be traveling and what things you can bring with you that you could just kind of like keep in your suitcase, maybe. Things like, like carrots and, cherry tomatoes. And what else did I bring? I brought those muffins that were fine. They were fine 3-4 days later. I had just frozen them and then they defrosted. And so they were room temperature. They're fine. But if you have some kind of like a toaster oven or a microwave or something like that, and heat them up, they're even better, but they're totally fine room temperature. What else? Things like bananas and oranges and apples. String cheese actually stays pretty well, especially if you have like a little cooler or something like that. There's a lot of options, a lot of ways that you can make sure that you have something so that your body and your mind are nourished all the way through. Okay. Well, you'll be hearing more from me this week. I hope that you are doing well and you have an amazing, amazing holiday wherever you are and however that you are celebrating. And remember that I am with you in heart and spirit. I love you.